AllBall TV.
They scared, but I'm not.
They don't like comentario.
Y suscribe.
What Kevin Garnett said, I agree, right? But this is where I think people are misunderstanding. I think everybody can play in any era. I think the old guys can play today. I think the young guys can play in those eras. The question is, will your game translate as great as it is in whatever era you played in? Would Ant-Man be Ant-Man in the 2000s? Would you be a good player, great player, or average player? Would you be an all-star, superstar? Would you be a rotational player? So for me, I think that's the conversation that people are scared to have.
AllBall is back, y'all.
Yeah, hey, I never left. But yeah, so I kind of, I'm sorry, y'all. Yeah, I love what Garnett said. Remember what I said the other day? Somebody needs to check Ant-Man. Did I not say that?
Yes.
And I said I thought it was up to LeBron and those guys, but I'm glad KG said something because once again, Flee, you said it beautifully. The disconnect between the older and the younger players has to stop.
Yeah.
It has to stop.
Yeah.
I don't care what nobody say. We understand the athleticism, the skill, the money, the social media. We understand all that. Mm-hmm. But you cannot be so disconnected to where you just blatantly disrespect a whole generation.
Right. For
you to say what you said is dead wrong. And for only Garnett to come out and say something, it just goes to show you, and this is what I was saying a while ago, Flee, when I was telling you mentally, some of these guys mentally, man, they wouldn't be able to take it. Mm-hmm. And KG know that because he played it. Yeah. You think some of these guys would be able to play 20 plus years? Going against Rasheed Wallace and all them type dudes? Come on, bro. So I think, like you said, Flee, you made a great point. People are going to misconstrue what KG said. You got to read between the lines. But I love that he at least said something.
Yes.
Because nowadays people are afraid to have this conversation because everybody want to be friends. People are scared if they run into Ant-Man, well, maybe he may not give you a pair of sneakers or he may not like you. He may unfollow you. Who cares about all of that?
Right.
Bro, you was wrong. I'm explaining to you why you was wrong. And I'm going to say it again. The disconnect, it needs to be, that gap needs to come a whole lot closer. Yes. Yeah. Yes. But I'm glad KG said something.
OG, you was live on Instagram earlier today. I was at work, so I couldn't jump in, but I was watching. And you had a dude up there. He was a new guy. I never seen him before, but he was solid, right? He was saying he was solid. And one of the things he said that, like, I started thinking about the whole damn rest of the day. LeBron playing 22 years right now would have never happened back in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. It just wouldn't have happened. The way the game was played, he would have never been able.
No, I think he had to.
No, I know what happened. I know
Lord
what
have
happened.
mercy.
I know what happened.
I couldn't even say nothing. I was stuck. But go ahead, please.
I know what happened. We got to remember where he's at. Let's remember where he's at.
Lord have mercy.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, he said something really profound. You heard what he said, right, OG, when he was up there?
But Flee, see, I'm glad that you brought that up. That doesn't mean LeBron wouldn't be great. See, that's
not saying that.
Right, and that's the argument that drives me crazy with LeBron fans. Whatever opinion you have on him, nobody never said he wasn't great. Nobody never said he wasn't considered one of the greatest. But that's a fact. Nobody will be able to play 20 plus years with that type of physicality, with those type of rules. Like I said, people don't understand how mean and nasty and physical some of those guys was. And they will intentionally try to hurt you. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. Yeah, that's not basketball, but that's what it was in that era. So I understand what people were saying, and it's just like, yo, man, these young dudes, man, they misconstrue skill set with athleticism. And it's a long list of guys that was skilled that Ant-Man just shitted on, man. And you cannot do that. You cannot do that. I'm sorry.
Well, I think the smaller point I disagree with, because I think LeBron could have played 20 years if he's training like that. Vince Carter played 20 years. Vince Carter played in 4 different decades, and he played with the tough era, the new era, whatever it was.
That's one guy.
No,
Okay.
hold on. But at this level, all
hold
right,
on.
go ahead.
Nobody played Moses Malone. A lot of these guys. I think LeBron is too physical. Like he's a specimen. I don't think he's gonna be now. The other side to that is what you're saying. Can he be considered in the GOAT conversation? That ain't to me about physical specimen. It's about, bro, you have to adjust your game in that era. That's my problem with the conversation. And I've always had that problem when I said, yo, I don't know if Dennis Rodman could be Dennis Rodman in this era. You got to play offense. You have to. In your era, you could pull that off. But if LeBron goes back there, mid-range, he don't get a real mid-range till past halfway through his career, and none of that stuff is there.
But the
Where's the
maturation,
offensive skill set to really be LeBron, to be in a GOAT conversation? Not going to be there.
but the maturation for him would have happened faster had he been in that time. Like, it took him a while for his game to mature. Like you're talking about his mid-range, his post-game. All of that stuff started coming into his repertoire when he got to Miami, right? He didn't really have too much of that in his bag where I could get to a spot and really destroy you. Before, from his rookie year all the way up till that point, dominant, right? I can't stop you. I'm a freight train. I'm coming straight at you. There's nothing you can do with me. You go to Miami and you add certain things to your game that allows you that longevity. Now I could get into the post and get 15 easy points just by putting you on my hip.
But that's the part I disagree with, Flea. I think them first 10 years, he's going to be LeBron in any era. And they're going to be like flabbergasted by it until you throw a different kind of defense at him. But the thing in Miami, what he learned, I don't think he went to it enough. I don't think he goes to that enough to go in that era and then be considered the GOAT. He's in the GOAT conversation.
But that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is he would get to that earlier in his career. He would have to be able to have what you're saying, possibly being able to play as long as he did now. Back then, he would have had to get to that earlier. He couldn't be that athletic specimen for the first 10 years. And
I don't think he's. That's not what makes LeBron LeBron. He doesn't go to it enough to go in that era. The same way I'm saying about Rodman. You gotta. I don't see it enough in this era for you to be Rodman all over again and stay on that court. I'm sorry, LeBron. If you play in the 80s and 90s, bro, you're gonna need a mid-range. He don't got a real post up to me. He can defend in the post. We seen him hold Joker. Like LeBron, like that whole he could defend in the post, but
here we go.
I'm talking about to be considered he's in the conversation with Mike. That means it's the 90s. You get the ball in your hands. You're a perimeter player. You're not just some forward. That to me, you will lose points in any era because of that. And that's why we take points off against Mike. That's why you take points away when you go, he ain't better than Kobe. You can't stop Kobe. And with LeBron, it's like, we dare you to shoot that ball in crunch time, LeBron. You gonna pass that rock. And we would take points away. I had to throw Bean in there to get
right. You made a point about Vince Carter, right? And that's right. Even Jamal Crawford, a lot of guys played 20 plus years. But who played 20 plus years at this level? You telling me back in them days, LeBron would have played 22 years at a high level, all 22 years?
It's possible, bro. Remember, Kareem, Karl Malone, Mike, Rodman, all these guys led the whole, even Steve Nash in a way, that for the Phoenix Suns team. Remember, they changed their diet. They stopped drinking Coca-Cola and stopped smoking crack at halftime. Let's go. We got to keep it 1,000 about what was going on, man.
Yo, Fabian, they said Frank Gore got drafted and LeBron James was averaging 27.5 a game. They said Frank Gore's son gets drafted, he's averaging 25 a game. like what do we like? What?
That's not happening.
Right.
That's not because Kareem but Kareem was a Finals MVP at what, 38, 39? He was doing.
No, OG remember that.
And I will say this: that's the part that these kids don't even understand. That whole Kareem conversation. I'm sorry, I don't remember it like that in the 90s. Once it was Mike versus Magic. They got Kareem up out of there, bro. I don't remember them talking about it was Isaiah Thomas. These guys revived his name in this era to try to slight Mike, if I'm being real about it. And maybe LeBron will get in the conversation like that, like a Kareem type of career. Because Kareem wasn't 30 a game at 40.
Well, for me, like I said, LeBron has every right to be in conversations. I'm not going to never, be that crazy. But let's be for real. Guys like Mike, rest in peace, Kobe, people didn't like them as human beings. So that's why they are thirsty for somebody to take that slot. I'm gonna call it what it is.
I've never heard this before. Go ahead, OG. I like this.
I'm going there.
Yeah, I like this.
LeBron made himself a likable guy on and off the court. As people know, Jordan and God rest his soul, Kobe Bryant, on and off the court, people have nothing but negative to say about them. Simple and plain. Anytime, think about, they just had a post where Jordan was on the boat and people were saying what's up to him, and they say he ignored them, which he probably did. But they made that big news, but we just seen LeBron shoo off a young boy, a fan, and they swept that under the rug. Once again, LeBron has every right to be considered the GOAT. But the reason why they are thirsty for him to be the GOAT, because people do not like Mike and Kobe. Shaq and guys like Flynn, a lot of people say, how does LeBron jump over Kobe? How? Why? You know why? Because we don't like the Black Mamba personally. Simple and plain. That's my opinion.
I think the opposite could be said about LeBron too. Y'all don't like LeBron, and that's how you pull him down and stuff like that. That whole personal conversation. Come on, man. You have a whole political party going against LeBron in this era. Like, it's like that, bro. They hate him too.
Well, I agree with the whole sentiment of the conversation. Like, there
people
are
look for a reason. Yeah,
right. There's plenty of people that have an agenda against LeBron. I accuse OG of it all the time, right? Like, there's plenty.
Look at his face. His face changed. Look at it.
Like,
listen,
you know what I'm saying?
I don't hide it. Hate him.
Right. That's why I love too, because he leans into it. Other people like try to dance and play. Like, you lean into it. This is where I stand with him. I know he's great, right? You never deny that. I know he's great, but knock you down a notch, because
listen, I told you, I have the discussions. People get mad at me. We can make a case Tim Duncan is the second greatest basketball player of all time. If we talking accolades, if we talking consistency, if we talking all of that,
if we talking dominance,
right?
Like dominance too, like pure dominance. Like,
so that's what I'm saying. Well, when we want to have like real basketball conversations, and we want to go by the letter of the law, let's be for real. Just how people say, well, Robert Horry got more rings than Jordan. Okay, Derek Fisher got more rings than LeBron James. What are we saying?
And KG went in though. He said exactly what you said all the other day. You supposed to be some basketball savant. You're not supposed to say something like that. And if you're gonna say that, you got to know what it is. And he was just so disgusted. Go ahead, Flee.
No, I just thought about some. I hate to cut you off, bro, but what OG, it ties into what I've said and what OG brought up about this disconnect that the younger generation has with the older generation right now, currently. What I'm starting to notice is a huge problem is that they don't do their homework. Like, when I was younger, I was doing my homework.
Flea, could you imagine? Imagine if you had the internet at 10. If you had this,
brother. What did I tell you? I'm not looking at it right now, but it is in arm's reach right now. I have a black book that is the NBA encyclopedia. As a kid, I would sit there and read through it. I would get the almanac. People don't even know what an almanac is anymore. I would get the sports almanac, right? And sit there and read it, bro. Like, so what? You're absolutely right, OG. These kids don't do their homework, and the poor thing about it is they don't care. He started by saying, "I didn't watch," but now I'm gonna run my mouth. That's crazy.
Just real quick, see what these players need to do. They need to ask some of their favorite players that played in that era. So ask a guy like Baron Davis, who y'all love and y'all respect, and ask him about John Stockton. Because when we bring up certain names, a lot of guys laugh, right? But you ask a guy like Baron Davis, who was athletic, who was banging on you, who had a handle, who had the total package, ask him about John Stockton and see what he says.
AllBall TV.
They scared, but I'm not.
They don't like comentario.
Y suscribe.